Will you join me in prayer? Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I have so many things I need to get done, it is making me crazy. You ever heard yourself saying those or similar words? Tomorrow I leave for 2 weeks of vacation, and the week before vacation is Hell Week. There are an amazing number of loose ends that have to get tied down. Projects that have to get finished up, appointments that have to get scheduled, messages that have to get returned, visits that have to get made. I get myself so worked into a frenzy the week before vacation starts that it takes me the first couple days of vacation just to relax and unwind. Inevitably, I carry with me regrets about all of the things that I didn't get a chance to finish before I left on vacation. In fact, sometimes I text my colleagues to ask them if they could pick up some of the things that I didn't get a chance to do before I left. The only thing worse than the week before vacation is the week after vacation, right? That's when you come back and find hundreds of unopened emails in your inbox, and that flashing red light on my phone indicates I have multiple voice messages waiting to be returned. That relaxing pace of vacation gets vaporized the moment I step into my office the first day back. Whether we're getting ready to leave on vacation, or getting the house ready for company, or finishing up a project at work, or shuttling our family members to all of their activities and appointments, at some point, we all find ourselves frantic with so many things that need to get done that it makes us crazy. But do you know what absolutely needs to get done? This. We have to breathe. If we don't, we die. We absolutely have to breathe on a regular basis. We can only go for a few minutes without breathing, and then our bodies start shutting down. Now, the good news is, the one thing that we absolutely have to do is something that happens automatic without our even thinking about it. You don't have to keep track of how many breaths you took the last minute. And you don't have to schedule the next breath that you're going to take. The one thing that we absolutely have to do happens automatically without our even thinking about it. Now, there's some other things that we're going to have to get to eventually. I mean, we have to take in fluids and stay hydrated. We have to take in nutritional food to fuel our bodies. We have to maintain a core body temperature of somewhere around 98.6, give or take a few tenths of a percentage point. Those are all things that we need to do sooner or later, but not immediately. all that we need in this moment is this. Can we all do that together? Can you just all breathe in and breathe out? So there you go. We all have everything we need. Everyone in this room, everyone listening on the radio, everyone connected to us through the internet, everyone, we all have everything that we need. If you are at all claustrophobic and have ever needed an MRI, you know that wave of panic that comes over you when they strap you onto that gurney and it starts sliding in towards that narrow cave-like opening. It's just a few inches from your face, trapping you inside. Every fiber of your being wants to cast off that restraining strap and crawl out of that space as quickly as you can. But just focusing on your breathing can calm that panic by reminding us that even though we don't like being in that loud, vibrating machine, it's all right. Because we have everything we need. We can breathe in. We can breathe out. And in that moment, that's enough. Whenever we feel overwhelmed by the circumstances of our lives, it is helpful to pause and breathe in and breathe out and remind ourselves that in this moment, we have everything we need. I think that's what Jesus was getting at when he said, do not worry about your life. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are not you of more value than them? Or consider the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin. And yet I tell you, Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed as one of these. If God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not clothe you, O you of little faith? The list of things we absolutely need to do is actually quite short. But we add all sorts of things to our list of what we need to do, things that actually belong on another list. They are things that belong on the list of what we want to do, but we convince ourselves that we need to do them. We need to have this house spotless by the time company arrives. We need to get the lawn mowed before it rains. We need to get an appointment scheduled before the end of the day. We need to get this project finished by the time the deadline comes. We put lots of things on our list of what we need to do that really belong on our list of what we want to do. And then we convince ourselves that catastrophic consequences will result if we don't get all the things we need to get done finished. Now, there are catastrophic consequences for not breathing. We die. First, we lose consciousness. Then our heart stops. Then our organs begin shutting down, and then our brain function ceases. That's bad. When we don't do the things we absolutely need to do, catastrophic consequences result. But none of those things happen when we disappoint someone. If we don't get something finished by the time someone was expecting us to have it finished, they'll be disappointed with us. They might even get angry with us. If it happens repeatedly and they're our supervisor at work, they may even fire us. But even if the worst possible scenario plays out and we lose our jobs, we won't stop breathing. And our hearts won't stop beating. And our organs will not shut down. And our brain function will not cease. Disappointment is rarely fatal. We can live with disappointment. Whether we're disappointed with ourselves or whether we've disappointed someone else, it never has catastrophic consequences. The list of things we absolutely need to get done is amazingly short. Breathe in. Breathe out. That's it. So why do we make ourselves so crazy, running around as if our lives depended on getting some project finished on a certain timeline? The answer, I think, has a lot to do with Sabbath. The only way we can convince ourselves that we already have everything we need is by acting as if it's true. The only way we can convince ourselves that we have everything we need is by acting as if it's true. When we remember the Sabbath and keep it holy by setting aside all work and resting every seventh day, we behave as if we already have everything we need. The longer we work and the harder we work, the more we convince ourselves that our work is essential to life. It's like breathing. The tasks of our work begin encroaching onto our list of things that we absolutely need to do. They become essential to life, and we begin acting as if something catastrophic would happen if we ever stopped working, even for a day. In our text this morning from the 5th chapter of the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, the Ten Commandments appear for the second time in our sacred scriptures. This time, the Hebrew people were about to cross over the Jordan River to enter into the Promised Land. For 40 years, since their liberation from slavery in Egypt, they'd been wandering through the wilderness of the Sinai as nomadic people living in tents, moving from place to place. But now they were about to take possession of a land that would become their own land. They were about to settle down and build permanent homes, plant vineyards and orchards, plan cities, develop commerce. And as they prepared to enter into this new era of their life together, they were all gathered together and reminded again of the Ten Commandments. But this time, the Sabbath commandment wasn't linked to the creation story the way it was the first time they heard it, as they gathered together at the foot of Mount Horeb. This time, the Sabbath commandment was linked to their ancestors' experience of enslavement. Observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. For 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, or your male or female slave, or your ox or your donkey, or any of your livestock, or the resident alien in your town, so that your male and female slave may rest, as well as you. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. This time, the Sabbath commandment was to remind them of what it was like when they had no rest from their work, when they were caught in a cycle of hopeless despair, when every day they needed to do more, and no one ever said enough. As they prepared to make the transition from a nomadic people to a settled people, they were reminded of the importance of keeping the Sabbath, of stopping all of their work, to breathe in and to breathe out, to remember that God, not Pharaoh, is the ruler of their lives, to remember that they already have everything they need. Sabbath is what keeps the list of things we absolutely need to get done short. Every seventh day, when we stop working, we prove to ourselves and to the rest of the world that God has already given us everything we need.